Tonight on CTV News, a new flight into Christchurch opens up a lucrative tourism and trade link to China. The car of the future gets closer to becoming reality for more Canterburyans, and you'll be in good hands this summer as surf lifesavers show off their courage and skills. Kia ora, good evening. The first China Southern Airlines flights touched down in Christchurch. The new partnership's expected to inject more money into the region's economy as the airport's set to reach record passenger numbers. Chelsea Daniels reports.
The arrival of the first China Southern Airlines flight in Christchurch marks the start of a major trade relationship for the South Island. The move is set to bring in over $100 million to the South Island's economy over the next year. China Southern Airlines is the largest airline in Asia and the third largest in the world, and over the past decade has built Guangzhou into one of the world's most important international airport hubs. And now the South Island is a part of this important link.
First of all, it means that we're now connected to that hub, and that hub connects us to right across Asia, Europe, Africa, etc. And that gives us an enormous reach, both for people of the South Island travelling out, but more importantly, for people of the world wanting to travel in.
The airline is adding an extra 70,000 seats and will fly 3 services a week between the South Island and China. And Mr. Johns says the region's connectivity into Asia and Europe now has never been stronger.
Government statistics show that when Christchurch is the entry point, 85% of the visitor expenditure lands across the regions of the South Island. When Christchurch is not the entry point, that drops to 36%. So you're getting more than a doubling of visitor expenditure across the regions per visitor by a direct entry into the South Island.
But it's not only tourism set to benefit from the relationship. China is New Zealand's most important trading partner, just behind Australia, and the second largest economy in the world. The country accounted for about 19% of exports and 14% of imports last year.
In addition, it's going to open up the opportunity for about another 6,000 to 10,000 tonnes of high-value air freight exports directly into China. That means that if you're a lobster fisherman in Kaikoura, your ability now to get directly from Kaikoura to Guangzhou, which is the largest live seafood market in the world, is so much greater than having to go over Sydney or Auckland to get there.
China is the largest destination for New Zealand exports of dairy, forestry, seafood and wool, and the second largest destination for meat products and hides. The additional China Southern Airlines flights are a part of a large increase of traffic into the airport, with 770,000 extra airline seats added within the last 12 months. Chelsea Daniels, CTV News.
The government's announced to cut funding for the Super Gold travel card in 2016, but a decision about whether to end the scheme has been postponed until the new year. The government decided to cap its funding to just over $28 million, without allowing anything for the growing number of cardholders. Environment Canterbury commissioners voiced their concerns as costs could shift from central to local government, with ratepayers picking up the extra cost. An electricity distribution company is charging ahead with electric vehicles after trialling out one of the models. It's another move by Canterburyans starting to make the shift to electric. It looks like an ordinary car, but it's powered by, well, power.
I love it. It's a great car. We've had it a few months now, and I've been one of the more regular users of it, and enjoyed every time.
There's been a slight push in recent times to start getting Kiwis interested in electric cars, and this company's taking their idea to the streets. Mainpower ran a pilot program seeing how they'd implement electric cars into their fleet. So, how good are the EVs? I was lucky enough to take their Nissan Leaf for a spin. And although it felt like a driving test, we're away.
There's certainly an enthusiastic bunch of owners in Christchurch at the moment that are doing their best to spread the word.
Brand new, this small vehicle could set you back close to $40,000. But for that price, the Nissan Leaf can only go 100 kilometres until it needs recharging.
What people do worry about in taking on an electric car is this range anxiety, and a term called range anxiety, which means I'll run out of run out of power as I'm driving.
So the organisation is taking up hybrid cars for longer journeys.
When you're driving around in a petrol car, you can usually rely on a petrol station turning up. You need to know where the stations are before you go and know how far you're going.
Recently, Z Energy installed a charging station at the Morehouse Avenue service station, powering up a car like this one in about 25 minutes at a cost of $10. But what about the extra power to charge these vehicles? Where will it come from?
We're already at a great advantage to other countries in terms of we have so much renewable energy, so it's not a question of charging your car with energy that's been generated at a coal-fired power station. We're using mostly hydro, and yeah, we'll see more wind, more solar coming on stream and keeping that renewable energy.
There could be more cars like this hitting the roads in the future. Hurley reckons as close as the next 10 years.
New Zealanders have a very strong reputation for keeping their cars going almost longer than almost anyone else in the world. So, it could be tempered by that do-it-yourself maintenance attitude, but no, we can see it.
So you never know. Some Canterburyans may turn a new leaf and plug in to the new journey. Well, still to come here on CTV News. Bridget's here with your neighbourhood news. Welcome back to CTV News. Another train death on Wednesday night reinforced Christchurch's grim records as having the highest number of train deaths per capita in New Zealand. A 52-year-old woman was struck by a train at 10:20 last night at a level crossing on Factory Road in Belfast. Ministry of Transport figures show nationally 13 rail fatalities happened this year, with 4 of them occurring in Canterbury. Police say the death was not suspicious and has been referred to the coroner. Lifeguards and chopper crews worked together this morning on a training exercise, getting prepared for any situation summer will throw at them. Imogen McLennan reports.
Can you imagine jumping 10 metres out of a helicopter into the ocean? That's exactly what surf lifeguards did this morning as part of their pre-summer training and induction in conjunction with rescue helicopters.
So today there's quite a large group of surf lifesavers here from all around the country, so we're using them. They'll be jumping out of the helicopter and swimming to victims, and also our own crew will be in the water as themselves with deployed life jackets. So we're using a new system of getting people out of the water. So ourselves will be going down the winch cable and retrieving them out of the water and bringing them back to land.
It's an expensive day, costing Westpac about $40,000 in fuel and equipment. But it's essential for the crews to work well together over the summer months.
Especially in big conditions, if the IRB boats can't get out, so if somebody's stuck on rocks and that sort of stuff around the coastline itself, and so if we can't get to the patients themselves by winching, we can deploy people out of the helicopter into the water and get them to the victim themselves, then back and winch them out of the water. The
helicopter training is just one component to the induction weekend.
Guys will work together as teams, so we've got patrol teams, so each group is around the city in a group of about 4 guys or girls, and they'll do things throughout the day, so there'll be patrol competitions. So one of the shots is racing out to the rocks out the back and jumping off them and coming back in. There'll be first aid stuff, there'll be tube rescues, there'll be board rescues and IRB rescues.
The teams put experienced and new lifesavers together to learn to work as a team.
I've been lifeguarding for about 6 years. This will be my 3rd season as a head guard, so I'd say I'm pretty up to play with today.
Yeah, I've been doing it for 7 years now, and we go out quite a bit and do a few rock jumps and stuff, bit of a hobby of ours. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's cool passing on our skills and our knowledge to some of the younger guards.
So the crews will be super sharp at keeping people safe on the beach, just in time for the summer holidays. Imogen McLennan, CTV News.
Jake Bailey, whose speech went viral after a school's prize giving, has received Quote of the Year in New Zealand by a Massey University online competition.
Here's the thing. None of us get out of life alive. So be gallant, be great, be gracious, and be grateful for the opportunities that you have.
The 18-year-old Christchurch Boys High School head mentor made the speech at the school's prize giving amongst chemotherapy treatment for Burkitt lymphoma. Bailey's halfway through his treatment and is overwhelmed by the support. Well, now here's Bridget Rutherford with what's happening in your neighbourhood.
Thanks for that, that, Jared. Preliminary designs for a $52 million wastewater scheme in Littleton Harbour will be finished early next year. The Christchurch City Council wants to sink pipes 1 metre into the seabed to transfer untreated wastewater from Diamond Harbour and Governor's Bay to Littleton. The current scheme is to discharge into the harbour, but Environment Canterbury says it's in everyone's interest to stop doing this. The council hopes to have the new scheme up and running before the current consents expire in 2018 and 2021. Littleton musician Ameria Grinnell is in the running for her second TUI Award for Best Folk Album. She won the award in 2012 for Three Feathers and is a 2016 finalist for her new album, Autumn. She's spent the last few years performing around the country and as a member of Fly My Pretties. Her nomination comes a month after fellow Littleton musician Marlon Williams picked up 2 awards at the annual New Zealand Music Awards. 2 picnic tables at New Brighton Pedestrian Mall have mysteriously disappeared. The standard barbecue-style tables were donated to the New Brighton project from Red Zone Homes 3 years ago. New Brighton project coordinator Martha Baxendale says it's disappointing as an offer had just come in to do them up. She says whoever took the tables would have needed a trailer to transport them. And it's what Sumner residents have been waiting for. The designs for the new library, community facility and museum have been released. The plans draw inspiration from the Sumner landscape with natural timber, seaside colours and features from the former community centre. It'll be built on the corner of Wakefield Ave and Nayland Street. Redcliffe's Historical Society will also contribute $50,000 to the new museum. It comes after the contents of a time capsule found during the demolition of the old centre was opened this week, with a newspaper, old coins and other trinkets in it. A decision is yet to be made where to store them. From the newsroom, I'm Bridget Rutherford.
Thanks for that, Bridget. Well, now here's Warren Head with your Canterbury Business Update.
Hi, I'm Warren Head from headliner.co.nz. Last bulletin of the year for me, and hopefully I'll be back in the new year with some enlightened news about how our retail sales went through the present Christmas and New Year period. But today, as the markets opened around the world, all attention was on the United States after a very long build-up over there about what they might do at the Federal Reserve. They actually increased interest rates today by a fraction, 25 basis points to 0.25% for their benchmark funds rate. 0.25%. They've been on zero for 7 years in the United States since the global financial crisis, part of the program of getting that economy back into shape. So I take that as a positive that they are coming back up in the United States. And certainly around the world, tourism is picking up despite all the problems with tourism in the Northern Hemisphere, or maybe that's why it's happening here. But our tourism numbers have jumped quite considerably to over 3 million in the September year. Quite a big increase, this about 8.5%. So they're coming through from all our major markets, but the big increase is coming out of China. That's the big standout. Chinese arrivals up over 35% in the September year. Hopefully spending something in our stores during this holiday period. But in terms of retail, today it was all about food as well, because out came Restaurant Brands with its announcement for the third quarter. The important quarter, of course, for them is the one we're in right now. But they did go upwards, 9.4% up in sales for that particular period. And KFC leading the charge a little bit there, up 6% with KFC. I understand that the big popular product at the moment is the Surf Safe Bucket, which gives, of course, a $1 donation to the Surf Life Saving New Zealand organisation for every bucket sold. So bear that in mind next time you're in KFC. Now, Restaurant Brands also own the other big units called Pizza Hut and Coffee Brand as well. But my attention was taken by the one that's going to be going into Eastgate Shopping Centre. It is apparently true that Restaurant Brands will be moving out of moving into a new standalone at 283 Linwood Avenue on a site there previously occupied by an old house. So that was announced today as part of 3 projects coming through for Eastgate. Another development there is on the upper area where farmers have vacated out, and there's going to be some social services offices on the upper level there. And also on the same level, the Linwood Avenue Medical Centre. That'll be relocating out of its current address on Linwood Avenue to a new purpose-built family health centre in that space vacated by farmers after the 2011 earthquake. So a lot going on at Eastgate Shopping Centre this Christmas. Take a look at that, and the other big malls are all open till 10 p.m, I understand, this week. Time to open the purses. Things are really very good in New Zealand compared to the rest of the world. Keep that in mind as you head into Christmas week. I'm Warren Head for headliner.co.nz.
Thanks for that, Warren. I still need to do my Christmas shopping as well, but we'll get round to that. An affordable housing project in Hornby has produced its first success story with plans to provide housing solutions to families. This Christchurch woman lost all hope to buy her own family home, considering relocating her husband and 2 children to another city, away from the city's expensive housing market.
Not unless, win lotto, but yeah, no, definitely not. No, with the way the scheme is done, it's absolutely fantastic.
But with the help of the New Zealand Housing Foundation, the young family made their dream a reality.
We had a lot of choice in the colours. So the vinyl, tiles, curtains, paint, carpet, that was all our own choice. So there was a lot of input in working out and what to do there.
The $12 million development will see 44 new affordable homes being built here, keeping up with demand of amount and cost.
The issues in Christchurch had the added challenge of the earthquakes. The pressure is around not just volume of housing, but ensuring that they are of the quality and the affordability for many of our families with special needs. 5 families have already signed up for the affordable home scheme, with up to half of new homes being allocated to older people. The tenants are only having to pay an affordable rent. The government is making the difference up for a market rent. The development's expected to be completed by the end of next year. Well, still to come here on CTV News, local sport and the region's weather forecast. Welcome back to CTV News. Now here's Gordon Finlater with the latest in local sport.
Well, the Canterbury United Dragons are back training this week ahead of their final game of 2015. After suffering 2 defeats on the trot, United got back into the win column last week, defeating Waibop United 2-0 without the services of their injured captain, with former All-White Aaron Clapham forced to watch from the sideline.
I hate watching the games. I get like ridiculously nervous watching them for some reason. I'm perfectly comfortable playing in them, so I sit there biting my nails and annoying everyone that I'm around. But from a team perspective, it was great, to get a good 3 points against a tough side as well. It was really pleasing.
Young striker Angus Kilcolly netted his second goal of the season to open the scoring last week. And after signing at the start of the season, the former New Zealand under-20 player is enjoying his time with the Dragons, hooking up with coach Willie Gerdson, who was part of the New Zealand age group setup.
As soon as I saw Willie got the draw, I sent him a text saying, well done, nice, I'll be happy to come play for you if you want, and he was happy to get back to me straight away. So it was, the main thing was Willie, but then also just the ambition that Canterbury and the board came across, so they want to be successful again and be something good to be part of.
And the new crop of young talent are fitting in nicely to the squad.
All the young boys that have come down have done really well. Brock's fitted in well and is playing good at right fullback. Andre de Jong's playing really well, and it's only a matter of time before he gets amongst the goals as well. But Gus has been doing great.
This weekend's match sees the Dragons travel south to take on Southern in the All South Island Derby. And while Southern currently sit second from bottom, they won't be written off on their home ground.
I have a lot of respect for Mike French, the Southern coach, what he has done there, and I think as a team they are better than their places at the table at the moment, and it's a South Island derby, so you expect everything, so no, it will not be easy.
And while still nursing a knee injury, the captain is hopeful he can get fit for the derby, hungry to get back into the action.
I love those games. I'm born and bred in Christchurch, so I love playing in those games, and there's always something a little bit extra in them, a little bit feisty and good competition. So I'm looking forward to that one. So hopefully I can get right for it.
Sunday's game kicks off from Invercargill at 2 p.m. And just finally tonight, the Big Shot event will return to Christchurch's Central City next year. The shot put competition is expected to feature last year's champion American Ryan Whiting, while Jacko Gill and Timaru's Tom Walsh will headline the local contingent. The event on February 8th will also feature a street mile race through town, with Kiwi international runners Nick Willis, Angie Petty and Rosa Flanagan expected to headline. Well, you're up to date with the latest in local sport. I'm Gordon Findlater for CTV Sport.
Thanks for that, Gordon. Well, Mercy's still feeling a little bit under the weather. I got told it was fine to say that. No, too many puns. Right, now it's time for your region's weather forecast. Checking out today's highs in South Canterbury, 15 was the magic number for South Canterbury for everyone here. To Central Canterbury now, 14 degrees for Christchurch, Leeston, Akaroa and Darfield, also for Methven, and 15 there for Ashburton. In North Canterbury, there were some southerly winds for Rangiora, but it was 14 degrees for everyone here, apart from Hamner Springs, a bit cooler on 13. And for the Alpine region, 13 degrees for both Lake Tekapo and Mount Cook. To the major centres now, tomorrow 19 degrees is your high Timaru with northeasterly winds and fine spells throughout the day. Flipping over to Ashburton, much warmer for you, 21 degrees will be your high tomorrow with northeasterly winds and fine. Christchurch expect a warm day tomorrow on 20 degrees, those northeasterly winds will be through and a fine day for you. Colder, 9 degrees to start the day, 19 degrees will be your high and northeasterly winds, fine for you. Tomorrow's temperatures for the rest of the region are mostly similar picture as well, warm and sunny. As we take a look at Central Canterbury now, 19 degrees for Leeston and Akaroa, 20 for Darfield and 21 for Methven. There'll be some northerly winds for North Canterbury, 22 degrees for Hamner Springs, 21 for Culverden and Oxford, cloudy skies in coastal areas. Alpine region, cloudy skies for you and northerly winds. The upcoming days, Saturday, some cloud will be back for your Saturday, and 18 degrees for Timaru, the highest there, 17 shared by Ashburton and Christchurch. Flipping over to Sunday, much warmer day, 25 for Ashburton, northerly winds, 22 for Timaru, 23 Christchurch and Cape Calder, 21 degrees. Checking out the rest of the region for Saturday, cloudy skies for everyone here and southerly winds are expected. As we flip over to Sunday, those clouds will stick around but the wind will change. Northerly winds for South Canterbury. As we come further up the region, those sunny skies will be through. A few clouds there near the top with northerly winds. And that is your weather. That's CTV News for tonight. You can find all our stories and bulletins on demand at ctv.co.nz. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Jared McCulloch. Have a great evening.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.